What's up, everybody? My name is Godzi, and welcome back to some more Umineko When They Cry questions arc. Last episode, there was the red truth, and they discovered Jessica's body, and that's kind of it. Nothing much happens in each individual episode, just a lot of talking in details, but that's perfectly fine. Being too detailed is better than not being detailed enough. I'm not in the greatest mood right now, in case it's not obvious from the tone of my voice. My brother is an asshole. I don't know why he's just been on such an ego power trip lately. Perhaps it has something to do with the fact that he's turning 16 later this month. Ooh, big man, he's turning 16. Ooh, big man, you can drive a car. Ooh, big man, you can... What the fuck else can you do? You can get a job at a grocery store. Hooray! Good one. Whatever. Let's just get into this before I talk too much about my shitty little brother. Alright. That's a dirty argument. Dirty. So dirty. What are you worried about? Make it my fault. You can just make it the fault of the 19th person. The mystery guest, right? If you do, you won't have to watch this ugly battle of humans blaming each other, right? So then what? The culprit is the 19th person, the guest Beatrice. She's a witch, so she could lock the door without a key using magic. Are you telling me to accept that? Damn it. Damn it. Damn it. In the last game, I learned all your weak points. So, what will you do? What will you do? You said you definitely wouldn't accept me, right? Then, you can use Cannon as the perfect sacrifice he is. Cannon killed Jessica! If you support Rosa's theory, everything is settled here, right? Cannon is already dead. There should be no need to show concern for the dead, and you won't have to suspect anyone in this room. Damn it, I won't accept you. But Cannon being the culprit is impossible. Oh, that's it? Okay, cool, great. I'm gonna shuffle my blanket. Also, happy winter, everybody in New York. It started snowing today, and there's already like an inch on the ground. The ground's never frozen this early in November. It's November 9th. I should be recording this further ahead of time than the day it's supposed to go up, but hey, never had the opportunity, so gotta start now then. Whatever. I don't want to suspect anyone. However, at times, there's no smoke without fire turns out to be true. Anyway, you can never be too cautious. Dr. Nanjo, what do you mean by that? Please do not misunderstand. I do not wish to label Cannon as the culprit. However, until we understand the situation, there is a possibility that he's the culprit. And I believe thinking that way is safer. Yes, that's right. You cannot be too cautious. The general consensus certainly didn't seem to find fault with Nanjo for what he said. True, no one actually thought Cannon was the culprit. But unless they suspected him, they'd have to suspect one of the servants here. We didn't want to do that. We didn't want to suspect. We didn't want to be suspected. That's correct. We cannot be too vigilant. I take it that no one objects to that, right? Well, the thing is, Rosa's theory is 100% sound unless someone snuck away from the chapel during that whole commotion. The only people who could have killed Jessica are Cannon, assuming he didn't actually die, or if he did die, he was killed by someone else. Goda, Jessica killed herself, doubt that completely, in fact. Kumasawa, or Genji and Shannon, or Kinzo even, if those three were colluding, but I doubt that. So, those are the only people that could've. Understand? There's a very high likelihood that these murders are connected to Father's legend of the gold. That means the crime must have been plotted by someone who wants to keep a vast amount of gold, worth several 10 billion yen, all for themselves. With that kind of money, you could play around for the rest of your life in any country. And, with a motivation like that, they might even intend to kill all of us. Because she didn't have a master key, the 19th person, the guest Beatrice, is removed from suspicion for the murder of Jessica alone. But we cannot conclude that she's unrelated to the crime. After all, it's a vast amount of gold we're talking about. We can't deny the possibility that there are multiple culprits. Right now, one of the people here among us might have been bought by the culprit. That's true, actually. As Aunt Rosa yelled, she looked all around, her gun still raised. Don't believe anyone, suspect the person next to you. That's what she was saying. But no one wanted to suspect. They didn't want to suspect anyone here. Thing is, Rosa has the strongest motive out of everyone who's still alive. So, she shouldn't be saying much. That weakness in their hearts demanded an answer from those not present. There are only two ways you can be sure someone isn't a suspect. If it's yourself, or if they're already no more than a corpse. The same goes for Cannon. Until we catch sight of his corpse, he is the most likely suspect in Jessica's murder. So take care. Even if he's still alive, even if he smooths things over with some explanation, you definitely mustn't trust him. Got it? Ooh, thunder. No one gave an answer of their own initiative. However, those who met Aunt Rosa's eyes had to nod their heads. Humans are beings who live by molding themselves to fit society. Fuck that. In other words, from the time they're born, trusting each other is genetically imprinted on them. It's unpleasant to go against that. Okay, that's fine. They never want to suspect someone. But if they're forced to suspect someone, they find it safest to choose someone who isn't present at that moment. For the purpose of safety and nothing more, they half-heartedly chose Cannon to be the sacrifice. Okay. That's ridiculous. I definitely don't want to believe that Cannon is the culprit. I'd heard it from George just now, but not only were the two close in age, they also had that kind of adolescent relationship Aunt Rosa had mentioned. It may be a little late now, but yes, they really did have that kind of air about them. After seeing her parents' tragic corpses, Jessica, bearing deep wounds in her heart, would only have trusted Cannon. It was very easy to imagine, and that's why I don't like it. Cannon was the only one she trusted, so she wouldn't have let anyone but Cannon in. So Cannon was the only one who could have killed Jessica? I just can't accept that kind of argument. Understand? Even if Cannon appears, don't let your guards down. As long as we cannot prove Cannon's innocence, we will assume that Cannon is the culprit who killed Jessica. That was Aunt Rosa's claim. By using the vague word assume, she managed to convince everyone in the end. Everyone nodded weakly, and, with the excuse that they were just assuming it for the time being, they concluded that Cannon was the culprit who had killed Jessica. I wonder what the dead Jessica and Cannon would think if they could hear this exchange. Oh, they're actually showing us their spirit. Interesting. Jessica was crying. She was crying into the chest of the person who had put his life on the line to fight for her. Cannon. It was frustrating. So frustrating that it felt like her chest would explode. She grieved and resented how far the dignity of the dead had been trampled. How can those guys treat Cannon like the culprit? Because there's no corpse. How can they treat you like the culprit just because there's no corpse? You risked your life to fight for me, right? Then that witch erased the corpse for fun. For them to call you the culprit after that, it's horrible. It's too horrible. It's okay. I wasn't able to protect you in the end, but I was able to be of use to you in our final minutes. Why doesn't everyone understand that? Stop it, Aunt Rosa. Don't call Cannon the culprit with that messed up logic. She isn't saying I'm the culprit. She's just saying I'm suspicious. No, she's saying to be careful. She is saying it! These people are saying you're the culprit so they can stop thinking. They aren't thinking about who the culprit who killed me is anymore. They aren't thinking of the possibility that you aren't the culprit. And after this, every time something happens, they'll use the excuse that Cannon did it, since we don't know where he is. I can't stand that. It's okay. At least you know the truth. So, they aren't saying anything about Beatrice. They're saying the culprit. They're not referring to the witch, so obviously it's a human. Hey. If only I know the truth, that's pointless. I know it after dying. Truth belongs to living humans. If the truth doesn't remain, the dead won't be rewarded. They won't know what Cannon risked his life for. Oh boy. Truly a splendid sight. You hardly ever find a sweeter honey than the laments of the dead. Lament, lament. No matter how much you lament, the voices of the dead never reach the living. Damn it! Damn it! It doesn't matter who! Hear my voice! Cannon isn't the culprit. Cannon's corpse was just erased. Why? Why don't you understand that? Milady. I can't stand this. It's too sad. I hate it. This way, it's like Cannon died for nothing, right? The honor of the dead means nothing unless it's acknowledged by the living. It doesn't matter who. Notice it. Notice it, please. Cannon isn't the culprit. Don't go. Don't go, everyone. Please, don't let it end like this. Don't go. Don't go. Rosa announced that this room would be sealed until the police came. The rest didn't want to suspect each other, so they happily accepted that. For now, they accepted that Cannon was the culprit. Without even imagining how much disgrace that gave to the dead, they accepted it. Milady, you've done enough. Thank you. Don't go! Don't go, everyone! I'm begging you, come back! Don't leave us behind like this! Don't keep treating Cannon as the culprit! Ah! It won't reach. The laments of the dead never reach. If you make me laugh, yes, that face of yours makes me laugh. Did you think your voice would reach them? It won't reach, will it, Jessica? Battler, obviously. It's all useless. Oh boy. Huh? Battler, did you say something? Yeah, it's useless. It's all useless. Yeah, you say that a lot, don't you? Just as everyone was about to leave the room, Battler stood alone with his back to them, still looking down at Jessica's corpse. What do you mean, it's all useless? Do you have some objection? I agree that we've got to stay on our guards. But sorry, I'm not buying all that about Cannon being the culprit. Oh, so you're speaking up at a time like this. If Cannon wasn't the culprit, and it wasn't my doing, how do you explain this closed room that Jessica's room has become? Is this Battler, like, in the actual game the same as this, like, alternate world Battler? Likely is. To be honest, I don't even have a clue on that point. Seriously, why do I have to go and say it's all useless? Guess I'd better take responsibility for my own words. I'm empty-handed with 0 weapons to argue with, but I'm not gonna sit around on the sidelines anymore, Beatrice. Oh, okay. They're not gonna argue for 20 minutes again. But, Battler, is there some proof that Cannon isn't the culprit? The expression that rose to those two faces was definitely one of anticipation. This music's awesome. Seriously. They didn't want to believe that Cannon was the culprit. They really believed in Cannon. So they were expectant because they wanted me to strengthen their belief in him even more. Then, Battler, which of the other servants do you suspect? Goda? Or is it Kumasawa? Quit it, Aunt Rosa. I know the person called Kumasawa well. She'll sometimes slack off while on the job, but she'll always make things fun for people. Even if her eyes were dazzled by money, she isn't the kind of person who'd kill for it. Battler! And I just met Goda yesterday. Honestly, I still don't really understand him. But there is something I do understand. I've never seen anyone who cooks as happily as he does. He's the same as Kumasawa. Goda likes to make people happy. As if a person like that could kill those who praised his own food as delicious, even if money was piled up in front of him. Then, who do you think killed Jessica, Battler? Who do you think shut Jessica up in a room that could only be locked by a master key? Wait, before I argue about that, there's something I want to make clear. I don't want to talk about if so-and-so is not the culprit, then so-and-so must be the culprit. I just want to talk about how it's completely impossible for Cannon to be guilty. You say you can prove that Cannon isn't the culprit? How? It's actually simple, and it's something I almost overlooked. Beato. Uh-oh. Repeat it. If you can say it, try saying it. Cannon had a master key on him. Oh. I get it. Cannon doesn't have a master key on him? How could you possibly know that? A short while ago, I heard from Goda about what happened. About how Jessica went to raid the VIP room, right before she and Cannon went off on their own. Goda, you did a good job remembering it. You protected Cannon's honor. did? I heard him say the same thing, but I don't really understand. Could you explain it, Battler? That's right. When Jessica unlocked the VIP room, she borrowed the key from Cannon, but didn't give it back. So Cannon doesn't have a master key on him. Ah. Is that really so? That's a very interesting twist there. True, Goda has no recollection of the master key being returned to Cannon. However, she might have returned it when Goda wasn't looking. How does that prove that it didn't actually happen? If you could just search the pocket of Cannon's corpse, you'd be able to say for sure, but you can't. It's impossible to prove. It's all useless. It's actually pretty simple, isn't it? No way. So you're saying that's why Cannon didn't have a key on him? Yeah, and to prove it, all you have to do is search Jessica. Cannon's master key should be in Jessica's pocket. Dr. Nanjo, would you check for us? Indeed. Nanjo dashed up to Jessica and searched in her jacket pocket. Everyone was expectant. And the key's gonna be right there. Please, be there. Here it is! Is this it? Yes, that is a master key, without a doubt. At Genji's statement, there was a small "oh" of joyful voices. That's Cannon's master key. I'll say it again. Cannon doesn't have a master key on him, so there's no way he could have locked the door. It certainly does appear that way. But Cannon was the last person to meet Jessica. The fact that he's suspicious hasn't changed. Let's give that stuff a rest. Huh? Fundamentally, humans are supposed to be creatures that trust each other. But because we live in a tough world, we learn how to be deeply suspicious. So we suspect everything. We're sad creatures. I won't deny that's our nature. But the one thing I won't let you do is reach conclusions without proof. If someone looks suspicious, that doesn't make them guilty, it makes them innocent. Of course, the world is filled with wolves. I'm not saying you should carelessly believe everyone. Brett Kavanaugh. Yeah, let's get political, please. But if you're gonna conclude that someone's guilty, you'd better have some perfect evidence. Unless you do, don't go around accusing them based on speculation. That's... I was the one who brought up there's no smoke without fire. That was careless of me. I apologize. Battler! Wonderful reasoning, Battler. Thank you too, Goda. Because of what you remembered, Cannon's been cleared from suspicion. No, That doesn't mean it's not someone else's master key, though, technically speaking, if I'm going to play devil's advocate. Clap, clap, clap. It was the crisp sound of the witch applauding. Well done, well done. Not a bad job. Crap. Did I fall for that bait piece just like you wanted? You magnificently proved that Cannon at least couldn't lock the door to this room. Whatever what is it with do Japanese people not know the secret that you can... This amazing secret that you can open a door, lock it, close it, and it stays locked? I'm gonna go do it right now to my own door. Let's see if it works. So, right now it's locked. Can't open it. Unlock, it opens. I'm going to turn the lock. Can't move the knob at all. Close it. And boom. I know there's no visual aid for that, but my point stands. Doors work like that. What is it with games and doing this? Danganronpa V3 did it. They're just like, how could they have locked the door from the outside? It's not like they can open the door, turn the lock, and then close it. No. Fucking hell. And now Umineko's doing it countless times. The servants should all have had master keys. With that as proof, Cannon was treated as the culprit, but you've at least managed to clear away that suspicion. In that case, how'd the culprit who killed Jessica lock the door? So that's the problem we have now. I got drawn into exactly the flow you wanted. I got you, didn't I? Furthermore, you said something outrageous about not doubting any of the other servants. Well then, I can't wait to see how you try to smooth that over. Shut up. Let's start right away. You'll probably just deny it anyway, but first let's check the definition of this room as a closed room. Very well. First, there are absolutely no types of hidden doors. This door is the only way in or out. The only way to lock this door is with Jessica's single key or the master keys, only one of which is held by each servant. It is on the second floor, but it is probably possible to enter or leave through the window. However, the window is locked from the inside. I can spin the chessboard around already. If I start by arguing about the door and the lock, I'll probably be stuck dancing on the palm of your hand. Do as you like. Well then, what should I repeat? Repeat it. Cannon was killed in this room. Very well. Cannon was killed in this room. Oh. Oh, that confirms he's completely dead. Oh, interesting. There's no corpse, and yet he's dead. The witch said so in red, so he definitely is dead even though there's no corpse. Okay. But I erased his corpse with magic, right? Again, repeat it. Cannon's corpse is in this room. I refuse. I can't repeat it, because I erased the corpse with magic. Yeah, figures you wouldn't say that. There's gotta be a secret hidden in there somewhere. Damn, where's the mysterious point I've gotta find? Did they walk it without the master key? Or did they somehow kill those two while they were inside the room and it was locked? There might be a hidden compartment somewhere in the room that doesn't connect as an entrance, but rather is like a secret cabinet, right? Or did they kill those two and then somehow escape? I hate to say it, but I'll have to cover up the moat first. Repeat it. The last time it was locked was due to a master key. I also refuse that. This refusing thing is really vague. I don't know if you refuse because it's impossible to repeat, or whether you can repeat it and you're refusing on purpose. Back when discussing the lock to the chapel, you completely turned the tables on me. When I have an advantage, there's no need to go out of my way to use red when it might be risky. That's all it is. I guess that makes sense. Originally, the point of the red was to counter my strange theories. Naturally, I'll use it in a way that works to my advantage. Now that I know I've got to worry about you twisting around, I won't use it pointlessly. Well then, what move will you use next? I imagine a move placing suspicion on Goda or Kumasawa will be easiest, yes? Damn, it feels like you're leading me by the nose and it pisses me off. Stay quiet a bit, I'm thinking. Of course, this door is the same as the chapel. When locked, it does not permit any form of entry. I'll say more. No trick could have the effect of locking the door from the outside without using a key. Damn you for always using red when I don't ask for it. Time to step back to square one. For now, I've just got to think. I'll lay out everything I know. First, there are two victims. Jessica and Cannon. Cannon's corpse isn't here, but Beatrice admitted in red that Cannon was killed. So even without a corpse, he's included as a victim. There are a few questionable points, and depending on which I focus on, my line of thought changes a lot. First, after the culprit committed murder in this room, how did they lock it? If we assume the culprit's someone with a master key, it's extremely simple, but I'd like to avoid that if I can, because I'd have to suspect Goda or Kumasawa, or maybe even Shannon and Genji. Here, I noticed something. I was contradicting myself. I was strangling my own neck. I want to deny Beatrice no matter what. I want to erase the existence of that brutal, fickle, ridiculous witch. So I have to explain everything with humans, not magic. But that also means suspecting some human. I don't want to suspect anyone. Of course, if there's some clear proof, I'll have to believe that the person in question is the culprit. But until that happens, I don't want to suspect people. Am I just naive? Am I just a kid who doesn't want to have my feelings betrayed, when those feelings tell me that this person at least could never commit murder? I want to deny that a witch did it, but I also want to deny that a human did it. I don't even know what I'm doing right now. In the first place, the only victory condition in our game was whether or not you could deny my existence. Even though that alone puts you at a disadvantage, you've increased the number of victory conditions all by yourself, making your own victory harder. It's just as she says. If I just argue that someone with a master key did it, this closed room can be broken easily. However, the number of keys that can open this door is limited, and since it's clearly known who has them, using that argument means I'd be suspecting someone I know well. In fact, have I just been averting my eyes from the truth? Even while attacking that closed room trick in the chapel, which was exhilarating to destroy, I propose that someone stole the key from Maria's handbag and returned it. If that theory is right, then the question becomes who could have stolen the key from her handbag. Maria's handbag was probably the most unguarded while she slept. In that case, in addition to me, George and Jessica are also suspects. So George or Jessica is the culprit? Or maybe an accomplice? I mean, I suppose George could have a reason to commit murder, right? Killing his parents and the rest of his family would make it so him and Shannon can be alone and also inherit Kinzo's gold, right? All of our parents have been killed, right? And yet, one of us consented to that and assisted with the crime? We all lamented, mourned, shed tears together in the chapel. And yet one among us was lying? Possibly multiple, even. That theory of yours about taking the key out of the handbag and putting it back cast a pronounced suspicion on the cousins, did it not? And despite that, you acted like you didn't even notice, announcing a theory like that so happily. Damn it. That doesn't even guarantee that one of the family or servants is the culprit. If he snuck up on us while hiding in a cardboard box, for example, there's a good chance he could have slunk into our room while we were fast asleep and stolen the key, right? Perhaps that will do for this situation. It's solid Snake. It's Snake. I'm in. I've killed the 6 Ushiromiyas parents except for Rosa. Snake. Great job. By suspecting the guest, the 19th person, you won't have to suspect the others. In that case, how was Jessica's room locked? It's no trouble at all for me to open the lock with magic, but of course I don't have a master key. If you deny my magic, you also have to deny that I'm a suspect, correct? So in other words, that means suspecting one of the 18. Oh yeah, thanks for the help. I've managed to sort things out a bit. My goal is to figure out how the 19th person, the human guest, Beatrice, committed the crimes. If I do that, I won't have to suspect anyone. If you can do that. Foolish man. This wasn't a closed room from the beginning. After all, there are a total of 6 keys that can open it. And several people possess such keys. You can suspect any of them. Suspect as much as you like. But you went to all the trouble of denying all of them, making it a closed room yourself. Understand? This is a closed room born from your mental contradiction. You and no one else sealed that door. So you're trying to say that I've got 2 options. Accept that a witch opened it with magic, or accept that someone I know is the culprit. Damn, are you trying to fork the rook? I just wanted to show you that moves such as this can exist as well. So what will you do, Ushiromiyas battler? Isn't it actually simple? Don't you just have to make sacrifices of that overly self-confident cook and that hag who wouldn't be a loss if she died? Damn it. If I suspect Goda and Kumasawa, everything will be fine? That's useless. I can't think of Goda as the culprit. I can't think of Kumasawa as the culprit. But I won't accept you. No matter what. In that case, they'd have to enter the room without using magic or a master key. Kill Jessica and Cannon, and even erase Cannon's corpse without using magic. How could it be done? How could it be done so that you can deny me while still not suspecting anyone else? Huh. Shatter. Probably not. I resign. Huh? Battler, what did you say? I give up. I was able to prove that Cannon couldn't have locked this door, but that doesn't mean I've managed to figure out who killed Jessica. No, that's more than enough. For Cannon's sake, thank you very much. No need to thank me. After all, this means you're under suspicion too, Shannon. And sorry, Aunt Rosa. It's not like I wanted to resist you. I don't want to die, and I want to find Dad and the rest's true enemy. Sorry for saying something that wasn't cooperative. No, it's okay. I was also a little rash. Let's make up. As an aunt and nephew, we have to stay on good terms, right? Aunt Rosa shifted the gun to one hand and held out her other. I reached out, and for the time being, we shook hands. Aunt Rosa's gaze was sharp. In order to deny the witch, she would sacrifice anyone. That's what her eyes told me. And me? I denied the witch. But I wasn't prepared to lose anything. I was probably the one who seemed to be fighting the most, and yet the one who was most separated from reality. Oh, delayed shatter. And the clock is growing again. The current time is... Oh my god. Oh my god. 1? Sure. Let's just skip fucking 6 hours ahead. Why don't we? It was 7, wasn't it? With Jessica's death, it became certain that the culprit was hiding somewhere nearby, and that they'd come for our lives if they had a chance. According to Genji, when tomorrow morning comes, the boat should arrive. The boat had a radio. We'd probably be able to contact the police directly with that. All of us gathered in the parlor and decided to wait quietly until tomorrow. I proposed that we should search throughout the mansion for clues about the culprit, but Aunt Rosa rejected that, saying that if we managed to corner the culprit or maybe provoke them, it might lead to a third murder. That was probably the right thing to do. If a bunch of amateurs like us investigated, there's no way we'd find anything. It would be wisest to focus on protecting ourselves without doing anything unnecessary and leave it to the police starting tomorrow. We'd been tense at the beginning, but other than Aunt Rosa, most of us had spent all morning watching TV and getting bored, so our sense of danger had faded considerably. When we thought about it, yes, 6 adults certainly had been killed together in the first murder, but that made it seem like some backhanded method like poison had been used. And for the second murder, we figured those 2 became sacrifices because they'd been unfortunately isolated from the rest of us. From this, it was possible to imagine that the culprit wasn't a large number of adults, and that they wouldn't be capable of killing this large group gathered in the parlor all at once. Right now in this parlor, there's George and me, Maria, Aunt Rosa, Genji, Goda, Shannon, Kumasawa, and then Dr. Nanjo, for a total of 9 people. Furthermore, Aunt Rosa was even armed with a gun. Surely with this many people staying in this room, they wouldn't be able to touch us easily. That feeling of security, along with the passage of time, allowed us to recover from the shock of that morning bit by bit. By the way, lunchtime had just ended for us. However, it had been a canned food lunch, a far cry from the dinner last night that Goda had skillfully made for us. Aunt Rosa also suspected that poison may have been used in the first murder, so we probably couldn't deny the possibility that the culprit had snuck into the kitchen during all that confusion in the morning and mixed poison in with the ingredients there. Aunt Rosa gave orders to all of us, saying that until the police came, we mustn't put anything into our mouths except safe things like canned food. As a cook, Goda must have felt very let down. Apparently eager to display his skill anyway, he said he at least wanted to grab some plates and arrange the canned food on them. I mean, that's fine. At first, Aunt Rosa had been reluctant, examining each of the plates that were brought, but she hadn't been able to find anything to complain about. And Goda's chef's pick canned food lunch combo was born. Goda, you're such a fucking food nerd, it's great. Thank you for not suspecting me for once, Christ. Goda said something about taste being savored, not just with the tongue, but with the eyes as well. I see, it's the same canned food we ate for breakfast, but it feels like something completely different.
Ew, Battler! Look! This is the wolves and sheep puzzle. Ew!
As I was sitting lazily on the sofa with no desire to watch TV, Maria came over, pulled a picture book out of her handbag, and held it out to me. What's that book? Wolves and sheep puzzle? Let's see. Wolves and sheep puzzle. It was a phrase that Aunt Rosa had said this morning when we'd gone to call on Jessica. At that time, she probably gives Maria, like, puzzle books just to, I don't know, make her smarter? Hell if I know. At the time, I hadn't known what it meant, and right after that was the uproar when Jessica's corpse was found, so I'd forgotten about it completely. The book that Maria held out to me looked like a foreign picture book or something that had been translated. When I opened it, I realized that it was a book stuffed with riddles.
Ew. So you have a few wolves and a few sheep, okay? The puzzle is how you take them to the other side using one boat.
Oh, that puzzle. I've done that before. It's actually pretty fun. I've heard of games with rules like that. So this is a version with wolves and sheep? It was a very simple puzzle, passed on from long ago. Let's try posing a question. On the right bank, there are 2 wolves and 2 sheep. There's a boat that as many as 2 animals can ride on, and using it, you have to move all 4 of them to the opposite left bank. Oh, 4. That's the puzzle. There are 2 rules. The first is regarding the boat. Even a single wolf or a single sheep can paddle it, but it can only hold 2 animals. The second rule is regarding the wolves. When they are greater in number than the sheep in any location, they attack the sheep and it's game over. For example, at the start of the game, let's say the 2 sheep get in the boat and go to the other side. The version I did was like wolf, sheep, and cabbage, and if you leave the sheep and cabbage alone, the sheep eats the cabbage and it's game over. Same with the wolf and the sheep. So, yeah, and the cabbage and the wolf. The cabbage eats the wolf. Just kidding. Let's say the 2 sheep get in the boat and go to the other side. Then one sheep gets off and the other goes back to the first bank. When it does, there are 2 wolves on the first bank and a single sheep returns there. When that happens, the number of wolves is greater, so the sheep is attacked and it's game over. On either side or even the boat, there must never be more wolves than sheep. And you've got to shuttle them all across under these conditions. By the way, the right answer is to move both wolves to the opposite bank in the first turn. Then 1 wolf comes back. On the second turn, you move 2 sheep to the opposite bank. Then 1 wolf comes back. Then on the third turn, you put that last wolf that was on the right bank on the boat and cross to the opposite bank, and congratulations, transport successful. Part way, there may be the same number of wolves and sheep in the boat or on either side, but that isn't a problem. You only lose when the number of wolves is greater. This book uses wolves and sheep as an example, but lots of people probably know of this game using different characters. Yeah, it looked like Maria wanted to test whether I too could solve the puzzles that she knew how to solve. And she kept showing me different pages, saying, solve this one, and this one's hard. So what was happening when Aunt Rosa first mentioned this puzzle? That's right. When we decided to go and get Jessica, we talked about how many men should go. And Aunt Rosa mentioned the wolves and sheep puzzle, saying we should all go together. Wait a sec. That could only mean one thing. Aunt Rosa was saying that there was a wolf among us. So was she thinking that we'd be safe if the number of wolves and sheep was in balance, but that the wolves would bare their fangs if the situation changed? At the time we found our parents' corpses, Aunt Rosa already suspected that the servants might be wolves. She'd sniffed out the possibility that, while she didn't know whether it was all of them or some of them, there were wolves hiding among them. That's no surprise. That murder scene was very elaborate. It's easy to imagine that there were multiple culprits. And because she'd reached that conclusion when we went to Jessica's room, and learned that Jessica had been killed after being alone with a servant, Cannon, it isn't hard to imagine why Aunt Rosa suspected the servants so persistently. You servants, Goda is going to the kitchen to clean the dishes. Just in case, would you please all go with him? My apologies, everyone. Let us go as a group. Shannon, Kumasawa, we are going.
Yes, yes, coming. Well then, George, excuse me for now.
Yes, take care. Aunt Rosa, could I go as well? I'm sorry, but would you remain here, George? There's something I want to talk to you about. Is that so? Sorry, Shannon. Anyway, take care. Don't be alone. Yes. I'm sorry, Dr. Nanjo. I wanted to consult you about something. Yes? What could that be? The servants put the dishes and empty cans on the serving cart and started to head out into the corridor. Behind them, Aunt Rosa was talking to Dr. Nanjo about something in a small voice. Understood. I will go. Yes, I'm counting on you. Dr. Nanjo closed the book he had been reading, rose from the sofa, and followed after the servants. Aunt Rosa stuck her head out into the hallway, and after seeing that they were completely out of sight, she closed the door and spoke. I still think Kumasawa is the most likely suspect for this entire case, I'm just gonna say that. Listen up, everyone. With that, everyone here is an Ushiromiya. Yes, that's true. So you're saying that you've chased out all of the wolves, Aunt Rosa? With that one sentence, Aunt Rosa's gaze grew sharp. Apparently she had picked up on the sarcasm. She laughed lightly. Your mind sure works fast, Battler. I like clever kids. It means there's less to explain. Battler's smart. Can you solve this? Page 64 is hard. Maria, go watch TV for a bit. Mama wants to talk with Battler and George. Aunt Rosa, I heard about the puzzle from Battler. I don't think it's wrong to be on our guards, but I also think there's such a thing as being too suspicious. Whether the real culprit is Beatrice or not, there is reason for us to suspect that the servants are in on it. In the first murder, where Kraus and the others were killed, they were treated very brutally, right? Did that look like something that could have been done alone? Maybe the mystery guest, Beatrice, worked all night and did it all. And what about the master key and the door to Jessica's room? Isn't that proof that one of the servants was involved? Only the master key could have locked the door to Jessica's room, so we can only suppose that one of the servants did it. No, wait. Spin the chessboard around. That's strange, Aunt Rosa. After killing Jessica, why would the culprit go to all the trouble of locking the door? The fact that it was locked made it inevitable that the owners of the master keys would be suspected. There was no reason for them to go to all the trouble of locking the door. That's right. It's just as Battler says. Oh wait, is this George? That's right. It's just as Battler says. There was no need for them to go to all the trouble of making themselves look suspicious. Yes, that's an interesting thought. Of course, I also thought that. If that's the case, then the person who locked it wanted to cast suspicion on the servants and locked it without a master key. But that's impossible, right? That's right. If there existed some trick that could lock that door without a master key, that would make this a great disguise for casting doubt on the servants. If the culprit's goal was for us to isolate ourselves from the group so they could attack us one by one, this trick would also be effective at giving rise to paranoia. But there was no way to lock that door without using a master key. How can you be sure there's no way to lock that door without a master key? Isn't that a devil's proof like Rudolph was talking about earlier? Maybe it was locked by some method we can't think of. Even if we can't think of a way, we can't deny the possibility of some unknown trick being used. That's true too, I guess. So is that it? No smoke without fire again? I don't know the practical details of the trick, but I have a general idea. My apologies, but if we make the assumption that Cannon was the culprit, it can be explained extremely easily. Even as to why there was no corpse. Huh? But Cannon didn't have a master key, right?
Why did Rosa just say there was no corpse? Why did Rosa just say there was no corpse? Rosa just said there was no corpse.
No one's supposed to know if Cannon was dead or not. I think Rosa's either in on it or is the culprit now.
Huh? But Cannon didn't have a master key, right? Putting aside the other servants, at least Cannon shouldn't have been able to lock the door.
I see. So that's why he told us to search in the closet and everywhere else right after we entered Jessica's room. Aunt Rosa, your mind works faster than I would have guessed from how you normally act.
The brain speed of a little sister is always the big sister's -1.
Oh. She's saying Eva's smarter than her? Okay.
Right now, there's no one I need to worry about offending, which is certainly a relief.
George realized she was referring to Aunt Eva, and seemed a little uncertain about how he should take that sarcasm.
I'm sorry. Could you explain it so even I can understand? Cannon's master key was in Jessica's pocket, closed up inside a closed room. After the door was locked, it should have been impossible to put it in her pocket from outside the room no matter what trick he used.
That's not it, George. If it was done the way Aunt Rose was thinking of, this trick could only be used by Cannon. I don't get it. Plus, the door could be locked without using a key, while the master key was still in Jessica's pocket. And it would also result in his corpse disappearing. So they're all assuming he's actually dead?
How? How could he lock the door without a key? It's simple. George, when you return home, you lock the door, right? You twist the knob, click, and you're done, right?
Are you saying that he, tied a string to it?
Huh? Could it be? But Cannon was nowhere to be found.
He jumped out the window? It looks like you've got it, George. That's what Aunt Rosa was searching the room for. She was searching for Cannon, who had locked the door from the inside and stuck the key in Jessica's pocket, before hiding somewhere, waiting for us to walk right past him. It was the simplest kind of closed room trick. Oh, he's just inside, okay. It meant him hiding inside the closed room after the murder was committed. Then all he had to do was get out after those who discovered the body left, and the closed room murder would work perfectly. Then where was he? The ceiling?
When we searched that room, we didn't find anything. But for all we know, that room might have had a hidden passage that only the servants know about. We don't know where such a thing might have been hidden. But if we assume that there was such a passage, we can conclude that it was impossible for everyone but him.
Interesting. Well, about that line of reasoning, I thought of that too at the very beginning. It's the kind of reasoning I hate most, so I wanted to destroy it right at the start.
Cannon was killed in this room, right? You apparently suspected that Cannon was the culprit. So you made me repeat this to destroy that possibility right off the bat. Yes, I understand.
So this is what I thought next. I made a theory where there were actually 3 people in that room. Jessica and Cannon were victims, and the culprit, the guest Beatrice, was also there with them.
You wanted to make it the human me who committed the crime without using magic. I see, a bizarre theory that suits you perfectly.
I guess that you killed those 2, then locked the door from the inside, and that you carried Cannon's corpse away using some secret method that normal people wouldn't notice. In other words, you used a secret door to escape. But you told me it in red. You said no kind of hidden door existed in that room.
Indeed. There can exist no secret passages that you all are not aware of. Was it Knox who said it, or was it Von Dyne? It seems that in mystery novels, there must never be hidden passages. I simply followed that etiquette. So even without having to thoroughly search the room, a famous detective could conclude that no secret passages exist. Humans playing detective have it so easy. Damn you, talking so big. Thanks. Thanks to the mighty witch being so diplomatic, I get to conclude that the room has no hidden doors without searching the whole thing. Indeed, there are no hidden doors in this room. There is no way to get in or out other than the door and the windows. Which means that the theory Aunt Rosa is so confident in is wrong. Also, annoyingly, it's impossible to disprove her theory. If you, the witch, say there are no hidden doors in red, then it's settled. That were just used red, okay. However, no matter how much a human like me tries to argue against her, Aunt Rosa probably won't accept it. Humans can't prove there's no hidden door. It's a devil's proof. Damn. It sure is convenient being a witch. No way! To call Cannon the culprit because of a hidden door we don't even know exists? I can't accept that. If you can't accept it, then find me a different theory that's more convincing. There is none. I've been thinking this whole time. There is no other option. George, you and Shannon are close, right? I imagine that's why you find it so hard to accept that all the servants are culprits. Even I don't want to believe that Shannon is in league with the culprit. But whether they're all in it together or not, there's definitely a culprit, or maybe an accomplice, in that group. That point alone is something you absolutely need to understand. If you guessed there were wolves besides Cannon, does that mean the uproar you caused by accusing Cannon in Jessica's room was to gauge the reactions of the other servants? Yes, that's right. And as a result, I began to suspect them even more. There certainly is a wolf among the servants. Certainly. And just like in the wolves and sheep puzzle, while they may be docile most of the time, they'll surely attack if they get the chance. Jessica was a lone sheep on the boat. In Maria's version of the puzzle, they may not attack when there's an equal number of wolves and sheep, but our puzzle is different. Depending on the situation and the number of people, they'll attack even if there is a balance, just like when Jessica was killed. Then there's something that makes me mad. If that's true, then when you made Shannon go to the kitchen, you put her in a dangerous situation, didn't you? We should go to the kitchen right now, too. No matter who may or may not be a wolf. If staying together means we remain in balance, I think we should keep it that way. Shannon went to see Father along with Genji. At that time, she was supposedly isolated, but she wasn't killed. Was it because Genji wasn't a wolf either? Wrong. It's because they were both wolves. Shannon isn't the kind of person who would take part in a crime. I cannot let a comment like that slide, not even from you, Aunt Rosa. I demand that you take back what you just said. I hate saying this in front of George, but the way you're arguing feels just like something Aunt Eva might say. It's like you're automatically assuming that you're right unless we can counter your argument. Looks like you can't fight against your own blood after all, Aunt Rosa. Even I can't think of myself as very praiseworthy right now. But guess what? I'm a mother. I'd become even a demon to protect Maria's safety. I really wish I could shut myself away somewhere alone with her. But I also plan to act as a mother to you two. Right now, you're practically my children. Even if you aren't my own, I won't forsake you no matter what. Well, thanks for that. I just wanted to warn you not to be careless as your mother. Stay where I can see you at all times. I will protect you. And at the same time, you'll be observing us to make sure we aren't wolves. Yeah, thanks a lot for that. Can you, Aunt Rosa, prove that you aren't a wolf yourself? Yes, I can. Oh, really? That's a quick answer. How? With this. This is my proof. That is just a gun. Aunt Rosa lifted her gun and pointed the barrel at me. But it was only for an instant. She immediately lowered the gun, laughing impishly. But to me, the time I spent staring down the barrel of that gun felt like an eternity. How does that gun prove that you aren't the culprit, Aunt Rosa? Think about it. What if I were the culprit? Would I really give up the once-in-a-lifetime chance when I got when the servants left? I could just shoot you, bang, and think of a fitting excuse later. Something like, Beatrice appeared outside the window and started shooting at us. I just need to leave 2 empty cartridges on the ground and say I fired back at her twice. Well, that's a crazily violent way to argue it, but it does make sense. Or you can just be... You can still argue that she's a culprit. You can argue that Maria's a culprit. You can argue that George is a culprit. You can argue that Battler's a culprit. Just by saying they're smart enough to realize that they'd have no alibi if they killed someone in this situation. There's something Krauss used to say all the time long ago. Might is right. Maybe that really is true. I'm sorry, you two. I've somewhat lost my composure after all the crimes this morning. You know how I normally am, so I must seem desperate and a bit short-tempered right now. But please understand, I want to protect you from a malicious culprit. I will become a demon to do that. That's all there is to it. I'm sorry for saying something that's angered you, Battler, George. Let's make up. An unsatisfied expression rose to George's face. He probably couldn't forgive the damage done to Shannon's honor. What about me? Several bits of circumstantial evidence hinted at the servants' participation. I didn't want to believe that one of them was the culprit, or possibly colluding with the culprit. But in our current situation, that was little more than wishful thinking. Whom should I believe? In the first place, who is the culprit? Are there accomplices? And if so, how many? It seems I've only been suspecting the people we know. I quickly forgot that 19th person. The guest, Beatrice, who arrived yesterday and boldly claimed to be the Golden Witch. In fact, I still haven't seen her face. I heard she greatly resembled the witch in that portrait. But since I haven't seen her directly, no matter how hard I try, it doesn't really feel to me like a 19th person is on this island. So I've been subconsciously hallucinating that the culprit's one of the 18. Damn it. Come out, Beatrice. If you're the bad guy, then act like the bad guy and show yourself, laughing in a high-pitched voice and mocking us. Just like a bad guy in one of those dramas, who, even when they're exposed as the culprit, aggressively says, "Where's your proof?" Where's your proof? Shut up. No more talking. Okay, I realize that we're, really not too close to an hour right now. We're at, 52 minutes right now. But I'm gonna have to end here because I'm hungry, so... yeah, I'm very hungry, in fact, so that's fun. If you like this video, be sure to press the like button, and if you didn't like it, fuck you too. Remember to subscribe, follow me on Twitter, and hit that notification bell to stay up to date on all my videos and stuff. And as always, my name is Godzi, and I will see you all next time. Goodbye!